Elvis, I appreciate you making this time work to be able to
Yeah.
talk about financing and lending. And
Yeah.
with Hill Financial, with BioClean,
Gosh.
a lot of our operators have already used Hill. I was talking to one of our operators in Louisville, and it was maybe another branch of Hill, but I know Elvis, you've helped Matt up in Billings, Montana. Elvis is every month I do a video blog. I try to
Yeah.
facilitate these to be something that's very informational for this case, it's going to be our operators. And because a lot of our operators want to get better, want to improve. And one of the biggest
Yeah.
things to make their business more successful is to get into one of our BioClean rigs. And that's where you
Yeah.
come into play.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you're taking some time to kind of
Yeah.
instruct me so that I can communicate clearly to our operators how this
Yeah.
process works. Now,
Yeah.
many of our operators, they've probably taken out loans for some sort of equipment. They've got loans against the business somewhere, somehow. But we really want to tailor this to how can you help our operators get into a truck, be
Yeah.
able to finance a truck? Because you might know this, but we also build new trucks. So we get brand new trucks and we fab them out to be like the best wash truck available. And that's really what we're known for is helping our operators scale their business to be able to create such an efficient wash process that they can make a
Yeah.
lot of money on. So while the investment and the cost to get a truck is there, the return is substantially more with the value, with the durability,
Yeah.
with the systems in place on that truck. So, I appreciate you, Elvis, being able to take some time to be on our uh, our vlog, our mastermind session this month. So,
Yeah.
why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in the financial world? You talked a little bit ago about being in a marketing business as well. So it sounds like you've got
Yeah.
a lot of business background. So how does that
Yeah.
incorporate with, what you're doing currently?
Yeah. So I've worked in finance for 6 years. I have a sales and marketing background primarily. So obviously, everything that I've always done has been about new business development and growth and sales and growing businesses and helping to maximize and optimize businesses, right? So we used to always talk about, we used to do a lot of sales training for our clients. And one of the things that we would always do is that the product is just a widget. If you can understand how to grow, you can really grow anything. The products are interchangeable for the most part, right?
Yep.
But obviously, in the finance world, there is a lot of nuance, and in the commercial space, there's particularly a lot of nuance. And that's one of the big confusions that I get is that people seem to understand personal credit because they've bought cars, they've bought jet skis, they've bought boats, and they've gotten really good rates on all those toys. But then when they step into the commercial world, sometimes they're punched in the face, and it's a bit of a shocker. Uh,
Interesting.
so,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And a lot of time,
it's definitely
and I was thinking too, a lot of times when you're working with customers, they might be small businesses. So this might be their first time jumping into getting a big loan for their business, I would guess.
sure. And obviously, and in the commercial space, in the commercial lending world, the first one is the hardest, right?
Yeah.
Maybe different on the personal side because kids on college campuses, that we have one that's going to start in August. When she goes down to the University of Texas, she will have no problem getting a credit card. All the credit card companies will be set up right there on campus. It's amazing how that works. But young kids get have access to personal credit. However, commercial credit is much tougher for newbies, for startups. It's that 2 year mark where things really change, and
Okay.
and up until that 2 year point, you will essentially have to pay to play. You'll have to pay an entry fee for the most part because there's more risk because you're new.
Right. No, that
Now
makes
let me use an example. We have a lot of people who've wanted to get into the food truck space.
mm,
Obviously, the food truck market is a burgeoning business. They're everywhere now. I'm sure you have tons of them in
oh yeah.
Minneapolis. You have gatherings downtown, and then you have the lobster guy show up, the taco guy,
Right.
And some of the food's really good, right? And people are enamored by these food trucks. Oh, this seems like so much fun. I'm a really good cook. I can do this. I could, whatever it is, if somebody has something they can do. Well, I want to go buy a food truck. Well, people are shocked to find out that, to get it approved for a commercial loan on a food truck, you need to have, I think it's 4 years of food and beverage experience. So just because you have this great idea, well, no, the banks want to see that you actually know how to, that you know the intricacies and the details of how to actually run a food and beverage business. You
Right.
need to have a catering business. You need to be a restaurant owner. You need to know what to do with food. You need to know how to. So just because you have good personal credit and you have a great idea and you know how to make really good cupcakes, that doesn't mean you're going to qualify for a $120,000 food truck.
Right. That doesn't mean you're going to be able to pay the bill.
Yeah, because once you get in there and you have to start portioning and buying food, and that becomes a whole nother animal. So it's much more difficult.
Yeah.
And the reason those rules exist, right, are because a lot of those loans default.
Yep, they do. They end up being bad. Especially
why
in that
standards. Yeah, of course. Everybody knows that restaurants fail at a ridiculously high clip, right? And food trucks are the same. But oftentimes people think that banks are the enemies, that their rules exist based on facts and data, not because they have a personal vendetta against somebody.
No,
it's
exactly.
all based on
it's facts and data. It's history. It's the business. It's it's longevity. Other loans against it. All that kind of stuff comes into play. So when you consider like back in our space of this, a fleet wash truck, whether it's a used truck that's around 100,000 or less, or a brand new truck that's at like 190, what are some things that you as a lender evaluate or review through the loan application process? So can you walk us through some of those things?
First off, I want to start by saying that I am not an underwriter. I'm a loan officer. I'm an advocate, and I'm on the side of your customer. My goal is to make them look as good as possible. And then I present their credit resume to my team. And then we find the best fit. So that's one of the reasons people like to work with Hill. We have options that require bank statements. We have some other options that don't require bank statements. If the applicant has bad bank statements, we're going to go somewhere where we don't require bank statements, right? We try to find the best fit. We want to try to put people in a position to be successful. But general rule of thumb of what we're looking for, the major factors are credit score. And obviously, to put yourself in a good position, like anything above 680 gives yourself a good chance. Obviously, the higher the better. Okay. Right. Your personal credit score. I mean, if you're running a business, then you know the importance of your personal credit. And anybody who wants to improve that, you can go and you can always go and get all of your reports, your Equifax, your Experian, and your TransUnion on annualcreditreport.com. And of course, a lot of people use Credit Karma. These are great resources to check out. Sometimes people have problems on their credit that they don't even know about. Maybe it's a Target card or a Nordstrom card. Maybe their spouse opened it up, forgot about it. You have to take care of that. If you have these accounts that close, that'll hurt you. So credit score is important. The higher, the better. And monitor it. Go and get one of these free tools and check it out.
That's a really good tip for a business that's just starting, or one that's been around a while that really hasn't made an attempt to get a big truck. Where are they currently? What's their snapshot? What's their credit report snapshots?
And I've helped people improve their credit before. I mean, I'm astonished sometimes. I've said, well, hey, you need, what's going on with it looks like you have Nordstrom card here that was closed. Sometimes I don't even know about it.
Yep.
And sometimes it's one account that may not seem like that big of a deal, but one account can hit somebody's credit score to the tune of like 40 points. I mean, it can be a
Sure.
significant ding on the credit. You have a couple of those, and sometimes it's not even a lot of money. That's what's incredible. I've seen people's credit, because the way that credit bureaus look at it is like, this person's ignored it. They don't care. Maybe they'll do that to us also. It could
Right.
only be
Not the number.
300. It's the fact that they've
do they
completely
care?
ignored it, and they don't seem to care about it. Well,
Yep.
if you don't care about that charge off, who's to say you're going to care about ours?
Exactly. Yeah.
And
That's very reasonable.
it's incredible, Adam. I've seen people who have charge offs for like $350, and I'll say, hey man, you need to pay this off. You need to call this number right here, pay it off. It's going to help you significantly. On someone who was declined, like if you brought me a customer and they were declined and we really couldn't put them anywhere. Hey, if you fix this and this, you're in a pretty good position in like 20, 30, 60 days.
Yeah. And there's something that's tangible. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not there now, but we're going to get you there. Here's what you're going to do. And then we'll reevaluate here in a couple months or whatever. So,
I mean, it's
how important is that personal credit compared to business stability or revenue?
Yeah. So then, of course, another major pillar would be time in business.
Time in business. Okay.
If we just start making a list of critical pillars for how to get the best rates and terms, you have two types of customers: people who are shopping for approvals and people who are shopping for the best rates and terms. Right? Some people are out there just trying to get anything they can. Maybe they're a startup. Maybe they've had some credit challenges in the past. They're just trying to get an approval, anything they can get at all. Then you have other people who are in a pretty good position, who are like B plus, A plus types of customers. They're going to be shopping for the best rates and terms. Yeah. So number one, credit score. 2 would be time in business. And like I mentioned before, that magic number is 2 years.
Okay, 2 years. Okay,
anything,
that's really good to know.
So 2 years is where you become established.
Yeah. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on is a lot of times our operators who become BioClean operators have been in business for a number of years, and they're looking to become better. And one of those things that gets them to be better is getting one of these trucks. So we're right in that wheelhouse.
So credit, time in business. Another thing that banks like to see is, it all comes down to like old fashioned values, like home ownership. There's a couple things that banks like about home ownership, right? It shows stability. Okay, this person is committed to this place, is committed to this home.
Interesting.
Also, too, if they stop paying for it, we know where to go pick up the equipment. That's
right. They can find them.
But home ownership's good, right? Because it shows stability. So credit score, time in business, home ownership. Another thing that banks like to see is some money in the bank. Right. Typically what they want to see is 25% of the purchase price amount seasoned for 90 days.
Okay.
So let's just use round figures. Let's say you're trying to buy a $100,000 truck.
Right.
All right. And, your payment's going to be, somewhere like around $2,000 or whatever it is. Let's say your payment is going to be, I'm just going to look at it, $2,300 a month. The banks like to see a little money in the bank for a rainy day. Let's say Adam just bought a new pressure washer truck, and you want to go down to the Bahamas for a couple of months. Well, we need to know that you can still pay the note while you're on holiday.
Right. There's got to be some money in the bank.
Yeah.
25% of the overall purchase price.
Correct. And obviously, again, it's like credit score. The more, the better.
Yep, exactly. That makes sense. So all of these formulations that we're talking about, give our applicant the best opportunity to get the best rate.
Exactly.
That's great insight.
And a lot of the people that a lot of my customers have well in excess of the 25%.
Oh,
A lot of them can purchase purchase the piece of equipment
right.
cash.
Right. Yep.
But
That's a good question
they're trying
too.
to.
I would like to ask you that too. You know, a lot of our guys do have a lot of cash, and it seems like some of them wait up to save their money to be able to buy it. So I know there's a lot of some people say all cash, you know, that's not a good business decision. Can you kind of touch on that a little bit? Why would it be more beneficial to get a loan, you know, through something like through Hill and
Yeah.
through you than it would be just to pay cash for one of these trucks?
Ultimately, because commercial credit is a weapon. And once you have rock solid A+ commercial credit, you can now use your credit to buy more equipment because you know what to do with it. And the more equipment you have, the more money you can make, the more people you can employ, the more successful you will be. Not to mention the entry level benefits of having and establishing quality commercial credit. The basics would be like separating your personal credit from your business credit. And so that the banks can't collateralize your house, your car, your personal assets. You're not protecting your personal assets. And God forbid, let's say the business goes down. Well, now the bank can't, come after your house and your car and your jet ski and your boat.
Beautiful.
I mean, those are the basics. But when I have somebody who isn't perfect, right? I mean, I go through these, we evaluate all decisions. And I'm happy to be candid and put them out there because I want people to do what's best for their business, because if I'm good to them, they're going to come back to me down the road. So I have people who are considering paying cash. I have people who consider they're taking a personal loan from the bank. I have other people who are considering a commercial loan with us, and listen, my rate on the commercial loan is more likely going to be higher than the personal loan from the bank.
Okay.
These are the two things I compete against on a regular basis. I mean, I see it, and I go through it with them, and I tell them, I'm like, well, you have to do what's best for you. I understand you have these decisions. However, if you take the personal loan, you're not going to improve your business credit.
Yep.
You're going to be in this same position forever.
Yeah, forever. Yeah, you need to. That's the difference between a person who wants to grow a business and a person who wants to run a business. You know, like expand, grow. You have to do this. You want to just do it as a weekend hobby or do it kind of on the side. You can do that.
Yeah.
But when you want to expand and be the best, you start getting into the commercial side of things. That's kind of, I feel like there's some similar traits with what we do with BioClean. You know, if you want to just go out and wash a few trucks, you can go buy a pressure washer. You want to actually run a successful business, you get a truck.
Right. Yeah. Well, there have been times where I've had guys who maybe their time in business is like 22 months. And I just had a deal a couple of weeks ago. A guy was trying to buy like a $25,000 truck. It was he had a construction company, and he was on the cusp of hitting that 2 years time in business.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you just need the truck, man, probably, take the personal loan or buy it cash. I have no issue, but, call me on the next one.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes, people have to do what's best for them and their business. Yep. And I understand it.
No, and I think that's okay. Yeah, it is okay. And I think the way that you talk and you're really trying to support them in their growth. Just in the way you're talking, I want to help you out, whatever it means. It means you might get a loan with me, or it means I'm not going to do this because of these reasons, but I want to help you to succeed because we're creating something that's going to be a long-term process. So
I want this guy, to hit that 2 years. I want him to come back to me, and I'm going to present options to him, and he's going to take the one that's best for him and his business. Sometimes I have the best options. Sometimes I don't. It's okay. nobody wins 100% of the deals in business,
No,
you
they
know?
don't.
So, and I think that, accepting a loss is a big part of this business. And obviously you know, in the commercial finance space, every situation is a unique situation.
Yep.
Um, you know, rates, terms are impacted by by the Federal Reserve and by rates
Yep.
and by inventory. So all these things are constantly changing, and business owners have to make a decision that's best for them, today, and short term, middle term, and long term. And so
Exactly.
I support that, and I
Yep.
want them to make a decision that's best for them.
What kind of down payment discussion is there with, I'm sure there's probably lots of options. Again, it
Yeah.
probably depends on
So
your customer. What should business owners expect regarding down payments?
the majority of people coming in want zero down, and we do a lot of zero down. We have a lot of zero down options. And as a matter of fact, 100% of the deals that I've done for you have all been zero down. That's because that made sense for your customers, and that's what they're looking for. Sometimes you have folks that if they qualify for zero down, you'll have some people that will make a down payment because they just want to reduce the monthly payment. And they have some cash, and and they can afford to dig into the interest charges off the top,
You
and ultimately reduce the financed amount. Right? Let's just use that $100,000 figure. If you do 20 down, now you're financing 80. Payments going to come down. Finance charges are going to come down.
Yeah, it's a
But hey,
nice option.
yeah. So, and again, the better your credit score is, the better your time in business, home ownership, the better you are at all these situations, that gives you some leverage in the deal and gives you some flexibility to now be able to make some demands or make some requests when it comes to terms.
Sure.
Most of the deals we have, 36, 48, 60, 72. Yep. So what do you want? What's important to you? And sometimes we have folks that want to get into a 72-month term, and then, their plan is to pay it off early. That's an option. You need to check out the early payoff options in advance, but most of the banks do have early payoff options.
Yeah, it's really nice to gather all that information and to be walk through that process from someone like yourself who understands it and can walk our operators.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So you talked a lot about some of the separation things, like you hit on a few of those main points. Home ownership, personal credit score, but then also maybe you have like a commercial credit score. Those are kind of some of the main things that I feel like you've kind of highlighted as we've gone. Am I getting that right, Elvis?
Yeah.
Okay.
So eventually, you can do a corp only loan, right? Once a business graduates, then you can actually remove the personal guarantor out of the equation.
Sure.
And now the loan is against an LLC or corporation exclusively, and you don't even have to include a social security number into the loan.
Okay. Nice. Yeah.
But it's difficult to graduate to that point. It's hard to get there. That takes some time.
Yeah, a lot of our operators are doing that, so that's good, and that's kind of like that would be like your objective with some of your customers is to get there, and I think for us, as they scale their business, that same thing happens along with their commercial credit score or whatever.
So the credit reporting bureau on that side is called PayNet.
PayNet,
which is that's a different bureau, different
cool.
from the personal bureaus, which are Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion.
Sure. Huh. So is there like a number for PayNet score, or that's AB, that's letters, right? Is that what you said? Is that kind of letter graded?
Well, yeah, for the most part, yeah, you could obviously PayNet, you could make mistakes there too. But, typically that's going to come with time and business and also comp purchases, right? That's really important. You
Yep.
know, what have you bought? How much buying experience do you have? How much buying power have you? See, like I do a lot of those, you know, how many, actually, it's funny because actually one of the deals that I did for you, the gentleman had purchased one in January,
Yep.
and then we did another one in May.
Yep.
All right. This gentleman did not have a lot of comps.
Right.
Okay. So now you go back a second time, and the bank's like, okay, we like this guy, but wow, we're doing 2 in 5 months.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Let's think about this one. You know, this is a lot. So they're gonna take a magnifying glass to that one. And we see a lot of this in like the over the road trucking in space too, where you get somebody who has purchased who has 4 loans with one particular bank. And then that bank says, you know what, Mr. Jones, we like you a lot. We think you're great. We're happy with what you're doing, which is why we did those 4 for you, but we're not doing 5.
Right. 5 is, I'm sorry, 4 were topped
I'm,
out.
I'm sorry. So then that's where, I'm able to help somebody like that out because I have other places
Yep.
when they zig, I zag. I have some other options.
That's great. You're helping them along the way. I think that's great. So
Yeah.
what's one example where the ideal loan went through, another one where there's a little bit of, variation in how you kind of had to work with it, and that's some of the terms that came along with that.
Well, an A+ customer is going to have 2+ years in business, 700+ credit score, owns a home, 50K in the bank, and has successfully financed 5 pieces of equipment, 6 pieces of equipment, 10 pieces of equipment, right? Spaced out, right, too.
Yeah.
Not so much exposure right now. And obviously, if those have been successfully financed and paid off, that's good, right? Because we still don't have all these existing payments. I mean, that's going to be a really solid.
That's the ideal. That's your best customer.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to have like an ideal,
Yeah.
that's it. Yep. Now, what I love about you and what you've talked about here during this session is not everybody is that ideal customer.
No.
So
very few.
Now what? Yeah, very few are. So now what is kind of
The
that
minority? That's a
yeah.
small percentage. That's the
Yeah.
smallest percentage.
So that's the minority. What is the majority? Give us maybe an example of that you've worked with, and maybe some of the things that were the struggle, but you still got them what they needed.
So there's a couple of the pillars that are kind of interesting, right? Credit score and then time in business. I'm astonished on both ends. Sometimes I'm surprised at who's declined, and sometimes I'm surprised at who's approved, and then the rate they get. It happens on both ends because again, everything is these situations are fluid, and it's a constantly evolving, changing universe. But I'd probably rather have somebody have a 600 credit score and 4 years time in business and a couple of comps than like, a 760 credit score and, 23 months time in business and maybe 1 comp.
Sure.
Time in business and successfully financed equipment is really, really valuable.
That's awesome. Love that.
Yeah. Because we have we have more than 50, we're a direct lender, and then we have another 50 options. So we have some banks which are called story lenders, because a lot of these equipment lenders are like niche banks. They don't do a lot of marketing, and they're hard to find for operators.
Right.
But we have what are called story lenders, and they'll take the time to go in and look at somebody's profile, look at their resume, and see that this guy is really good at moving dirt. Maybe he's is a dirt work guy, really good at running that business, but may not be so good with his credit cards.
Yeah.
you know, and like doctors are bad about that too.
Oh,
We do lasers and we do, medical equipment as well. And you'll be surprised, doctors have, they have big earnings and a lot of money coming in, but sometimes they're, not so good at paying stuff on time.
yeah.
Home ownership, credit, time in business, comps. For somebody who may not be like, who's not A plus, yeah, I mean, you could even have somebody who's like a 600 credit score, 5 years time in business, two comparable purchases. That's somebody I'm going to be able to help out.
Nice. Well, we got lots of those.
But yeah,
And I think I'm really motivated now because we just invested, I think like we just put $8,000 or $9,000 into that truck that we had for sale that you saw. That was
yeah,
yellow. So we paid to have it painted white to get more appeal because
okay,
we'll take care of that. And it looks better. And then our operators can kind of adjust and put their logo on there and have it wrapped, whatever the case may be.
yeah.
So that's going to be done here, I think maybe next week. And we're really going to put a push on to try to get that thing sold. And I want to push them if they aren't already having somebody lined up. I want to make sure that I get the connection between you and them.
And let me give you another scenario. We fund, I fund subprime.
I don't know what that is. You got to tell me.
Subprime is pretty rough. Low credit, less than startup, less than 2 years time in business.
Okay.
Like you don't have to be perfect in all of the pillars, but you have to be decent in some of them.
Yep.
But I have some people think that, that subprime is a dirty word, but I've had some approvals and I'm like, here's the deal, man. Does it make sense for you? I'm just gonna here's the opportunity. Maybe I wouldn't do it, but does it make sense for you? I've had guys who have a contract who really need the truck.
Yeah.
They're gonna use this. They're gonna use this deal to make a bunch of money, fix their credit. They can pay off a bunch of debt. It makes sense for a guy like that.
Right.
Maybe another guy who has the cash to buy the equipment. Then he can keep his time in business clock running.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, and then he can maybe come back to me in 6 months, clean up some credit. Yeah, maybe that doesn't make sense there.
Right.
Each situation's unique, but we can fund guys who have sub 600 credit, 12 months time in business and are renters.
Yeah,
but they're going to need, so somebody like that, they're going to need 30 to 40% down.
Right.
You're going to have some cash. The bank evaluates risk, and they're going to need to see some cash in advance before they get involved.
Yep.
Also,
makes sense.
Also, they're going to put a GPS tracking device on that piece of equipment.
Perfect.
It's a risk.
That is a risk. They want to know where that truck's at. They want to see it out there working and moving.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's sitting in the guy's garage or in his backyard for 6 months out of the year,
yeah, exactly.
They're not going to be happy about that. That's a really good thing too, because I think that's a lot of what these trucks represent too, is all they want to do is make money. And you can wash trucks anywhere. It's a great business to start. And it's repeatable. It's revenue driven. Every other week you get the same route. And then you just keep building routes off of that. And it just continual revenue. Doesn't take much to come up with $2,000 every month to pay off a loan.
I think I was just looking. Yeah, those were the payment. That was a zero down. It was zero down for 60 months. Yeah, the payment was less than $2,000.
Yep. So there's a lot of options
with early.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and with early payoff options.
Yeah, see, that's nice. Those are nice options because if you can have early payoff options, depending on how fast your business is growing, you can get rid of that and make yourself look a little bit better for the next one.
Sure. Yeah. And save yourself on some finance charges.
Yeah, exactly. All right. One piece of advice that you would give an operator seeking finance. one piece of advice that you would give one of our operators seeking finance on this nice white BioClean wash rig?
Um, be frugal. Be frugal and manage your credit. You know, subscribe to a credit reporting platform. You could even use Credit Karma. It's free. Put it on your phone. Manage your credit. Clean up the mistakes, and make your credit resume look as pristine and as perfect as possible.
Beautiful. Well said.
And strike when it's right. You know, be patient and do everything you can to pay off debt and yeah, and make your resume look as beautiful as possible.
I love that. That's such good advice.
Because banks want to give the best rates and terms.
They do.
You know,
they want to help
yeah,
people out. They want to give
they really do
people the opportunity to build something.
They want to make their money, of course.
Yep. Yep.
And they should. They should make money for giving out, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, they should.
But no one's powerless to the banking system. We're all in control of our situation. There's more information out there available than ever before. So go download your credit reports, annualcreditreport.com. You know, look at everything, look at all of your accounts, clean it up, and you know, and at some point, yeah, work as hard as possible and put money in the bank and pay off your debt. I mean, that's the most important thing anybody can do.
Throughout our discussion as well, this point kind of has stood out to me with how you present yourself is lenders and loan officers and banks, they're not really just financing a truck, they're financing a business opportunity. So the better prepared our operators are at this process and ready, the easier the process becomes.
Yeah. I mean, full transparency, I don't want to, if you bring a customer to me, I don't want to finance one truck for him.
Right.
I want to fund 10 trucks for this guy.
Exactly.
I want to be his go-to banker. I want to be the guy that he calls for the next 10. You know, so that's how we look at everybody. So
that's the way I want my guys to do it.
Yeah, and I'm going to compete for every single one of them. You know, I understand people have options.
Oh.
I mean, everybody's being shopped all the time. That's okay. I'm going to fight to make him look as good as possible, or her. I'm going to make them look as good as possible. And we're going to go out and fight to get the absolute best rates and terms we can get.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to do that every time.
If I want to get a loan for a brand new truck, you know, and the brand new truck is bought from a dealer with some set specs on it, and we have the box, so then BioClean buys the box. So really it's kind of like one loan for them, but payment is going to two separate entities. How long or how does that process work through what you would do?
Sure. Yeah, we've done that before. Yeah. Ultimately, there's going to be that we will, you know, take care of the add-on and the truck.
Okay, that's what it's called.
It's an accessory because it happens a lot. There's all sorts of, you know, they do them all the time beyond pressure washing. Obviously, in your world, they're adding all the pressure washer, you know, equipment. But there'll be two checks. There's one for the pressure washer equipment, and there's one to
the truck builder
for the truck.
That makes sense. Yeah, you look at all of these like any type of service industry, you know, they have a specialized truck. Yeah, they buy the truck, so that's that loan, and then there's an add-on for to make the truck usable.
Right. And the bank, you know, we need specs and we need details on the add-on equipment and the truck, right? Everything has to be evaluated and spec'd out. We need to know the health, how many miles, how many hours. We need to know exactly what's going on with everything involved in the deal. It needs
Okay.
to spec out. It needs to appraise properly so that
Okay.
it can be financed.
So man, this is a whole nother discussion. How how can we streamline that? How can BioClean like make that process easy?
Well, I mean, thankfully we have a team that takes care of all of that on the back end. I mean, it's not really an inconvenience to the customer, but yeah, we sort all that out.
Okay.
I mean,
But I mean, like, is there anything we could have, in relation to, because yeah, we got the sales thing, like this is the truck, blah, 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 blah. But is that all you would need to get that add-on to a new truck?
yeah, we just need to
Okay.
know. Yeah, we need some information on the
Yes.
year, make, model, hours. Yeah.
Huh. Cool. Well, I love it. After we get some new information on this truck that we're selling, I'll get that to you. And oh, I want that thing sold so bad. It's
Yeah.
making zero. It's making that thing could be making millions right now, and it's just sitting at our shop, just sitting there waiting to go to somebody to either one, if start a business, or two, expand their business. You got anybody in Dallas that wants to start a business, Elvis? We will get them set up, and they will be the best fleet washing business in the whole city.
Guarantee you there's one person in Dallas that would be interested in it. There has to be.
I know. How do I find that person?
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe they'll watch this podcast. They'll put
Gosh,
a
that would be
photo of
smart.
it on.
I will actually pull this out of it and post it on our YouTube. And hopefully within like 3 weeks, we get someone in Dallas, because my boss a couple weeks ago is like the owner. He's been in the business and he's so smart, engineering and all of the stuff that BioClean does. He's had his hand in. And the other couple weeks ago, he's like, I will drive one of these trucks down there, work with this
Yeah,
person for a weekend, and we'll just create a business in a weekend. I'm like, okay, settle
you can
down.
put it. You can put it in my front yard.
I mean, we would do that. We would bring the white one down there. We'd say on the side of it would be like Dallas Mobile Fleet Washing. And I mean, it would
Do
be a moving
a pop
billboard.
up. We'll do a pop up in my front yard, real
We,
close to downtown.
we need someone in Dallas. Wouldn't that be awesome if we got somebody in Dallas and you funded them and you watched their business grow for the next 40
God,
years?
I'm your guy. I'm all in. I love this kind of stuff. So yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Come on down.
All right, Elvis, thank you so much for your time. And
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I mean, I learned so much and I have no clue. I mean, I'm not a business owner. I just like to encourage businesses to do better. And this is a huge aspect of it that I didn't really, I understand a little bit like, hey, we need a loan. We're going to call up Elvis and Hill. But now that I kind of understand a little bit more, I can help guide some of the younger operators who are just kind of in that 2-year window, or, looking to get their first truck, like Matt. And I wish he was on
Yeah.
you, because he has nothing but good things to say about you, Elvis. So,
Appreciate that. Yeah. And anybody else, give me a call,
Yep.
214-736-3277, or you can email me, Elvis@hillfinancial.com, and that's HIL financial.com. That's only one L.
Later.